So far, we've talked about all of the rigid motions. We can move things, we can flip things, we can spin things. The last thing we can do is called a dilation. It is a type of transformation that changes the size of objects, but not their angles. So in addition to taking things and moving them around, I can also either make them bigger or I can make them smaller. So in math notation, we usually write it as it's a capital D, and then we put a coordinate point right here. I'm just going to put x, y, any coordinate point that we choose, comma, and then a number. So if you ever see that, it's saying that we're dilating it. The coordinate point that it gives us, that x, y, so that might be 0, 0, it might be 12, -2, whatever. That's the center of dilation. And the number that it gives you is the scale factor. It's how much bigger or how much smaller we're making it. And in order to use dilations, we can use the scale factor to multiply each part of the coordinate points. These are actually really simple as long as you keep it straight. These guys are multiplication. So the first example, and both of these examples are going to get done down here on this coordinate plane down here. Might be a good idea to grab some colored pencils so we can do them in separate colors. It says perform a dilation of 3 to a -1, 0. So here's my a. B is -1, -1, which is here. And C is at 1, 0. So I'm taking this triangle and I'm going to dilate it by 3. I'm going to take everything and multiply by 3. So if I take A and multiply everything by 3, so A prime, -1 times 3 will be -3. 0 times 3 will still be 0. If I take the B part and multiply it by 3, -1 times 3 will be -3. 1 times 3 will be 3. C prime, 1 times 3 will be 3. 0 times 3 will still be 0. So I'm going to actually graph these in blue. So you can see that originally we had this little tiny triangle, but now A prime is here, B prime is here, and C prime is here. So you can see that we've taken this triangle and we made it bigger, right? We increased it by a factor of 3. The second guy is the same idea. Perform a dilation of 0.5. I'm going to do these in red this time. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this. So B is at 4, 8. Or I'm sorry, M is at 4, 8. N is at -2, 0. O is at -9, 6. So I've got this triangle going on. I want to multiply everything by a half. So 0.5 times 4 would be 2. 0.5 times 8 would be 4. So that would be M prime. N prime, -2 times 0.5 would be -1. 0.5 times 0, anything times 0 is going to be 0. O prime, 0.5 times -9 would be -4.5. It is okay to get decimals. 0.5 times 6 is 3. So I'll do this one in purple. So 2, 4 would be here. -1, 0. And -4.5, 3. You'll notice it's not always perfect, and sometimes you kind of have to finagle just a little bit. So in this case, the dilation made it smaller. I went from the red shape to the purple shape. The shape stays the same. It's still a triangle. The orientation stays the same. It's still got the pointy bit facing downwards. The only thing that changes is the size. So down here I said in order to go backwards and find the scale factor, we can take the image coordinate, so that would be the prime coordinate, right, the one that has the apostrophe after it, and divide it by the original coordinate. So I'm just going to pick both the x values, or I'm going to pick both the y values, something like that. The only thing you can't do is you can't use 0, because notice that above 0 never changed, so that won't make a difference. So find the scale factor to describe the transformation, k to k prime. Well, I can't use the x's because you'll notice they're both 0, so that didn't actually change. So I'm going to use the y's. So I'm going to take the image and divide it by the original. And that gives me that the scale factor. By the way, you can always leave your answer as the fraction. You can leave it as 18/9. Or if you wanted to type it into Desmos, you could get that the scale factor is. Try the next one on your own. All right. So you could take either the x's or the y's. You'll get the same answer either way. If I took the x's, I'm going to take the image. So I'm going to take -3 divided by -9. And I get that the scale factor is 0.3 repeating. Or I could do it the other way. I could take the 2.3 and divide it by the 7. And I would also get that the scale factor is 0.3 repeating. You get the same answer either way. You're allowed to choose if you want to use the x values or the y values. It will not make a difference.